Sarah.
Okay, hi guys. My question is more for I think is it Miss Tina and Altricia? I was wondering, like, I know you guys were saying you kind of just have to wait until the person gets sick and tired, and then that's when you're just there with open arms to help them. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I guess I just feel like if they're telling you the abuse is happening, is that not their way of asking for help?
No.
No? Is it just like, I mean, can you explain it to me? And I'm only asking because I was in an exact situation as the sisters, I think it's Tracy and Tina. I was in the exact situation with them where you really don't know what to do, and not to take anything away from the victim at all. But the family and the people who have the friends, the people who have to hear it almost get roped into it too and become emotionally invested. I remember just like getting calls at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., crying, not knowing like what happened. And then you also have it on your conscience, like, okay, if something does happen to this person, is it my fault because I didn't like intervene? You know what I mean? Did I not do enough to save you from this situation? Like, should I have snatched you out of this situation? You know what I mean? So like we go through it on our own end as well, being the family members and the friends listening to it. But I just always felt like, if you're telling me, then you obviously want me to do something about it.
Yeah, but she doesn't. She don't want to say nothing to the board. She don't, you know what I think? I think she is, I think she's reaching out for help, but then I think maybe there's like shame. I'm on the phone. There's shame, there's guilt. There's a whole plethora of background emotions, I think, that stop her from taking the next step. But that's part of the reason you kind of want to distance yourself, is because our first response to the sisters is to do something. And so when you're telling me all this stuff and then you say don't do nothing, it's kind of like I'm handicapped. Like I'm in limbo. Like, what am I supposed to do if I'm not supposed to do anything?
When you said that, it's the fact that you have to realize that she does want help, but unfortunately, she does not. Even though you're there to say, I got you, in her mind, she still doesn't know how to ask for help. Exactly. In her mind, she still feels that she's trapped and she can't ask y'all because mentally she thinks if she does, y'all are going to be in danger.
And part of that,
somebody,
part of that is to protect y'all. Like, he would tell me that he was going to burn my parents' house down. If I went to my parents, he was going to burn their house down. And I believe that. Like, so part of that is a protection for y'all. Like, she wants y'all to listen, but seriously, she has to be the one to decide to leave. You can't go over there and pull her out. You just can't. I
was feeling Bert, and when he was like, "We're gonna drag you out and we're gonna hold you hostage like they hold you hostage, be taking the kids too." I was feeling that. I felt it when he said that. I was like, "Yeah,
me too."
She'll go back. She'll go right back.
She'll go right back. Now, right, what I did was because of course, like, and I think the recurring theme through here is my mama. As a mother, I took my kids and sent them to my mother, because I didn't want them in that toxicity. It was toxic, and I knew it was toxic, and I didn't want them to be in it. I didn't want them to see him hurt me, because I knew how that would affect them. In fact, before we got married, I sent my son to stay with his dad, because what I did know was that he was not going to respond well to being under another man, especially a man as abusive as he was. The red flag was already there. So my son lived with his dad, and my daughter stayed with me for like 6 months, and then I sent them to live with my mom, because I didn't want them to be around that. And we as mothers will do that. Now, y'all have a better chance of asking her, does she want her kids to come stay with y'all? She would probably do that. She would probably protect her kids like that better than
No, she doesn't want them to be away. That's what Tina said. She doesn't want to take them because now she's thinking about him, which is again is annoying. I don't want them to take them away from their dad. And so she wants them to stay there. But well, one caveat, since we're sticking with her, she always says, and I'm reading it right now, I'm reading the text. At the end of when she says something, she says, don't worry, I'm okay. Don't worry, I'm taking care of it. Don't worry. So she vents, but then lets me know that she has it. Sort of to say, I don't need you to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's a tough situation to be in. I mean, and trust me,
right.
we all in it, but unfortunately, this is great show, deep, but I'm gonna have to keep it moving.
All right.
Anson, you, and then my stuff is going to be pretty straightforward and dry, but it's going to be informative, and it'll tie everything together. Go ahead, Anson.
All right, I'm going to be straight to the point. I want to thank everyone for sharing. It's been very informative, and I'm sure that it helped you all out by getting all that off your chest. I've been having an opinion since the very beginning, but I want to listen first. If my first question was, what's the definition of abuse? Because some people call abuse and it ain't abuse. You know, like some people twist it and turn it into something that fits their narrative. So I looked at the definition of abuse, and abuse is simply cruel or violent treatment of someone else. Right? So take that a little bit further. You know, we all know what violence is, you know, hitting on someone. That's pure abuse. But cruelty is the other abuse, the mental abuse, the financial abuse. The cruelty is willingfully using pain or suffering to causing pain or suffering to others. That's what cruelty is. And I would venture to say that we all have been a victim of abuse. Every single one of us, in relationships and in life. So, and to back off of what First Cuz said, a lot of men don't talk about their abuse because they will feel demasculinized or feel like that will take away from their manhood. You know, no man wants to say they were abused by a woman or abused as a child. So I believe I hear all the stories that were said tonight, and I definitely feel for you all. But there's a lot of men that suffer in silence.
Oh.
There's a lot of abuse that goes on towards, especially us Black men, that never sees the light of day. And that is something I would like to say that everyone should consider. You have a lot of hurt people that hurt people. Yes, there's abuse that happens to women, but there's also the abuse that happens to men. But because a lot of men don't speak up and say anything, it goes unnoticed, and no one pays attention to the abuse that is done by women towards men. And I would venture to say that most women say, well, good for them. Well, so what? It this and that. But no, that's still cruelty.
Mm-hmm.
It's still cruelty, and abuse goes across the board to everyone.
And a lot of times, you know, you're right. You're right. And Sarah just said it. It doesn't. We don't talk about men being abused because men are supposed to convey strength. But when you talk about intimate partner violence, because I don't use domestic violence because domestic is a different connotation. Because if you beat on your kids, that's domestic violence. If you kick your dog in the house, that's domestic violence. Anything within the house is domestic violence. So I'm focusing on, since we're talking about relationships, intimate partner abuse, intimate partner violence. And overall, 22% of the population, Black population, has been abused in some form, whether physical, sexual, psychological, in their lifetime. So if there are 10 of us in this room, a little over 2 of us have gone through something. Believe it or not, is that the highest rates are among teenagers. And why is that? That's because they're learning from relationships that their parents had, and they're learning to come into their own. And a lot of young, especially us, Black people, have a problem with conflict resolution. So when we don't get our way, what do? We lash out. Whether it's girl on boy, boy on girl. The first thing we taught is if we don't get what we want, we do it by force. And these things happen a lot in earlier life, and sometimes they even carry on into future. Lifetime rate, of course, women are more subject to abuse than men. That's just how it is, unfortunately. But over the past year, in 2021, the rate has been higher among men. Men have been abused, kind of what you were talking about, Anson. That but we want, a lot of us won't talk about it. And the thing is that what schools are doing now, they're actually doing stuff about that, to talk about, tell young ladies that him being overly jealous, him being overly jealous is not a good thing. Her hitting him and laughing is not a good thing. We got to tell our kids, keep your hands to yourself, defend yourself. You have the right to self-defense, but do not, even in jest, start hitting on people. Because there's people that do that. You got to teach them young. 25% of the population overall has perpetrated intimate partner violence. So 1 out of 4 of us has been a perpetrator. Whether we think so or not, we've all done something that will be considered abusive or violent. 80% of us, so 8 out of 10 of us, everybody in here has done some type of psychological, emotional abuse. We can try to sugarcoat it, we can try to deny it, but we've all done something that was emotionally abusive, purposely, not by accident, purposely, to somebody else. That's not a great thing, but that's a fact. 40% of women and 32% of men reported expressive abuse, meaning yelling, getting somebody's face, yelling, beating them up, slapping, pushing, and a lot more men. 41% of women and 43% of men reported coercive abuse. Do this or else.
Mm-hmm.
Do this or else. A lot of ladies were saying that earlier. That's coercive abuse. According to the national samples, 2.2% of men and 4.5% of women have been forced to have sexual intercourse by a partner. Now, we talk about date EPAR. We talk about marital EPAR. Y'all just spell EPAR backwards. And we talk about, in a lot of things that with EPAR, men can be deparred. But it's rarely a punishable offense unless there's some backdoor play. That's probably the only way it gets prosecuted. Stalking is a form of abuse. If you're leaving the most dangerous time, Bubba's iPad sent this. Most dangerous time is when the victim is leaving the situation. That's the most volatile time. That's when cops get cops get shot and all that other good stuff. But on average, it takes about 7 times. It takes about 7 times for a victim to leave the abuser. So it goes back to what the ladies were talking about earlier. You want them to leave, you want them to go. It takes about 7 times before they finally get the strength to leave. And then when they leave, something gets violent. Wake up, Anson.
I'm waiting.
Within the military, and I've heard there were like 4 people that had military spouses or military boyfriends or things like that. Y'all know that, is anybody aware of the Feinstein Law? It was signed back in 97, 98. Dianne Feinstein sponsored a bill that with military and law enforcement, if you carry a weapon and you're convicted of any type of domestic violence, you can't carry a weapon anymore. The unintended effect was that it drove down reporting, because a lot of military spouses will not report it because it's a component of financial abuse. If he or she gets kicked out, they lose the benefits of being in the military, the health care, the commissary, the basic allowance for housing, stuff like that. So that it's underreported in the military. I can tell you that because I did 31 years.
And you're absolutely correct, because when they go over and they're in some form of war, my daughter was in an instance where her boyfriend had been to Iraq, and he could come back and say, "I'm gonna smother you to death." He said that to her, and they said that she could not do anything because she stayed there just in case, because he had been going to seek treatment at the military hospital. So I was like, girl, get out of that quickly, because he could kill you and nothing would be done, because they had record that he was seeking medical treatment from what he had gone through from going to Iraq. So, there you have it with military.
And that's it. But like I said, I had to put like 3 or 4 people out of the military in my career over that. There's two ways of intimate partner violence. There's unidirectional, which is more reported, but the bigger portion is bidirectional, meaning I yell at you, you yell at me, I hit you. That's bidirectional. Me just abusing you or you just abusing me is unidirectional. And it's a lot less reported because it becomes a control issue and a lot of stuff. But the motivation is to get back at a partner for emotionally hurting them. Whatever the emotional hurt, it could be slight, it could be major. Stress, people under stress make poor decisions and have poor judgment, and they're more to lash out. They can't, like I said, especially in our community, we have a hard time with conflict resolution. We instead of talking stuff out, we want to swing on somebody. We want to push them. We want to kick them. We want to do something to them. And if you don't know, Black people are affected by intimate partner violence and domestic violence more than any other ethnic group. By far, we are 61. It happens 61% in our community, some form of intimate partner violence or domestic violence. The next is white people at 35%. So we're in these relationships, and it's kind of a factor. It's kind of different factors. He don't love me unless he hit me. He don't. We talk about struggle love. Struggle love is the best love. Women craving excitement in a relationship. Unhealed people getting with other unhealed people and having emotional and going back to trauma bonding. Unhealed people doing things to sabotage a smooth relationship because they're so used to the drama from what they saw when they were kids. If anything, therapy will help everybody. If you don't think you need it, you need it. And a lot of times victims suffer from PTSD. Now we mainly associate PTSD with war, but in the case of Tracy and Tina, you can hear their sister going through that PTSD, because even if you act on it, you're still going to get that issue where they're going to go back, because that's what they're used to. It's flashbacks, it's things like that. I'm gonna hit up Miss Gina and then Miss Joycelyn, and then we're gonna close it out. Go ahead, Miss Gina.
I just wanted to to kind of address what I think his name was, Mr. Anson. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Anson.
Yes, okay, I am saying it right. But about the men being abused, I have a legal service, and my legal service started in January of this year, and it's about mother's right and father's right, dealing with all type of fraternity, family law division. And the cases at first were women, but now it has turned to where it is more fathers that are coming forward saying, I have been abused. I had one father that was finna commit suicide on the phone with me. And that was my first time of talking to him. And I had to talk to him for almost 6 hours for him to understand that at first, you know, he was abused, he was tired of it. And then it went from, I don't want to tell nobody about it, like you were saying, you know, that it was more of, this shouldn't happen to me, I'm a man, you know, and it was all of those emotions he was going through. And I had to really talk him down to where he's now seeking counseling. But I get a lot of males, and just to, you know, to let you know that there are men now coming forward saying, I have been abused. I have one case now where the wife stabbed him 16 times. He lived and end up stabbing the son. And when I talked to him, the first thing he said, I don't think I want to do this case because I feel stupid and I sound stupid that I was abused by my wife and she stabbed me. And I was like, no one deserves to be abused, period. No one deserves that, whether you're a man or a woman. And
yes,
he
I
was
agree.
like, you know, and he really took light of that, because he said he just felt like his manhood was being tested, because as a man, you shouldn't, you know, you're the protector. You're the one that's supposed to be protecting the family, and the woman is the one that's supposed to be taking care of everything. But he didn't know how to respond to, it's now him. He's the one that's being abused. He's the one that's getting jumped on. And he just was quiet. I said, well, did you talk to family? And he was like, for what? He's like, they're going to laugh at me if I tell them the girl don't stab me or jump. I said, no, you need to talk more. And the more that he talks to me, the more to him, it feels like his outlet, his voice is now being heard. And so, like I told him, you know, believe it or not, it's more men that I talk to every single day in legal counseling that are being abused, either physically or emotionally, where the woman's going to take the child, you'll never see the child again. So they'll stay. They'll stay and do whatever she wants because they want their child. So just to give you some enlightenment, they are coming out and they are speaking, and my phone is ringing left and right. And sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning where I'm getting somebody saying, okay, she just jumped on me, what to do? You need to call 911. You know, I can't help you.
And Miss Gina, that sometimes that doesn't work. In Chicago, about in February, there was a case of a man who was being held hostage by his wife, called 911, and the operator basically didn't believe him. When they got there, the child was about 8 and said, yeah, my mother's stabbing my father. They went in and they killed the man. Did not handcuff the woman. The woman had the knife and was stabbing him, and they shot the man and was asking her, was she all right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, but I told him there was nothing I could do because I'm in Florida and he's way upstate. He's calling me saying what to do. And I'm like, the only thing I could tell you to do is you need to call 111 and turn your phone on. That is the only thing that I can do. as a legal counsel, I can't come and defend him, physically. Only thing I told him, I said, keep your phone rolling. That is the only way you're not going to die. That is the only way you're not going to jail. And so he did that. He had his son turn the phone on, and luckily she actually ended up going to jail. And he and this child actually end up going to get help, from the hospital. But it's men every day. Every day I'm getting a phone ring. So, just to let you know, they are now starting to come out and speak. And not even in my chats online, they are telling me stuff about what's going on and what should they do. They're being hurt. They're being abused. The wife is crazy. The girlfriend is crazy. So men are speaking out. They are.
Thank you. Thank you. Joycelyn, and then I'll let Sarah do a couple of minutes and then we're done. We're way over. Go ahead, Joycelyn.
Okay, thank you. I just had a really quick question. And I do believe that being in the military for 30 years, I have seen domestic violence go men on female also. But we were saying EPAR, were you saying rape?
Yes,
Like
I can't say it. I can't say it because I'll get demonetized as a man.
Really?
Really.
Okay. I was sitting there looking like, what the hell is he talking about? And then I had to look it up and see what it was. Because my concern is like, if you can't say it, then how are you expecting people to heal from it if it's a word that can't be said?
It's the third that goes into a whole nother thing.
Okay, I dig it. I just wanted to be concerned about it because that in and of itself is an issue why people don't heal and move forward because you're silenced. And so I appreciate you bringing it up. I just had to be clear on what you were talking about because I was stuck there for a minute.
No.
You cannot say that online. That's what it is.
Yeah, you can't. A man can't say it.
Yeah, there are certain guidelines that we have to follow when we're talking about sensitive subjects, and he did the appropriate thing by saying it backwards and making sure he's within those guidelines.
I get it. I just didn't know. Yeah. And then when I looked it up, when I was like looking at it, I was like, is he talking about this? So yeah, I appreciate it. No issues at all. But just know that people can't heal. I know it's not you all, but you can't heal from it if you can't talk about it. And you can't talk about it if you don't say the word. So that's just
Well, Ms. Greer, that's why we're so thankful that we have a person like yourself who can actually come out and say it. As host of Upscale Up for You, like we said, there are certain guidelines that we have to follow that we as hosts cannot say, but guests on the show have the freedom to say that. So we thank you for actually saying the word so everyone on the show can understand exactly what he was talking about. So we do appreciate you for that.
Right.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, I just wanted to real quick, because I know you're about to close out. I just wanted to touch on what Anson and I think Miss Gina Atkins was saying about with the men. My husband in particular was in an abusive relationship with the mother of his child. And I think another thing we have to watch out for is like the crazy baby mama lingo, because that's always an underlying thing. For him, to this day, he still won't be able to say that. He still can't say that he was abused by her, even though he's had to call the police. She's put her hands on him. She slashed tires. She stalked us. We had to have security at our wedding just because she was that irate all of the time. So a lot of times you'll hear guys be like, yeah, man, I got a crazy baby mama, but can't even bring themselves to say that they're in an abusive relationship with their partner. And that's another thing I just wanted to mention really quick, just to watch out for, because nowadays people will tell you what they're going through without telling you what they're going through. And that's one of the ways that I've seen that personally in my life, just by looking at him. And he'll to this day, he won't say it. He won't say like I was in an abused relationship. Like he just doesn't see it that way. And kind of to what you were saying, Dr. Feelgood, like as a man, sometimes you just don't want to say it and you just feel like, nah, that's not my situation. That's not it. But you're getting beat on and you're being stalked and your tires are being slashed. So yeah, but that's all I wanted to say.
And that's kind of why we're here. I'm gonna turn it over to First Cuz. This has been a deep show. I'm gonna have to go in deep. I'm gonna have to go and decompress. My nephew's getting married this weekend. I need to be there. So I don't want to, it's a deep one.
Yeah.
Go ahead first, cuz.
All right, Dr. Fabulous.
I wanted to tell everyone that gave their point of view, shared with us the whole nine. I can only say strength is in numbers. I appreciate you all. Don't let this be your last time. We do talk about other topics that get you a little but we had to get some meat and potatoes tonight. And to my chocolate pearl, I'm coming to the wed. No, just kidding, chocolate pearl. I'm coming to find my. No, I'm just teasing. All right, I'm gonna turn that back over to my first cousin.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Fabulous and Dr. Feelgood. People on the panel tonight, I tell you, this was probably the deepest show, the deepest topic that we've discussed so far. And we've talked about everything under the sun, but as we can see on so many different levels, this particular topic has affected so many different people. Douglas, we saw that you came on a little late tonight. We would have loved to gotten your perspective. We were talking about abuse in relationships, but I do feel like this won't be your last time, coming on. Just come on a little earlier next time so we can get you involved, man, because we do appreciate and we value your opinion.
Yeah, Douglas was late because he was opening doors.
Say again, Douglas.
No, I was on in the car for a while. I heard a lot of what was said and everything. But I think earlier I put in there that you do have the right to defend yourself. That's what I told my son and everything. So, yeah, they say men should never hit a woman. Well, I was in the military. I was taught to shoot people. So,
gotcha. All right. For those that we did not hear from, Bubba's iPad, Papa Doc, and Answar, we didn't get to hear your voice tonight. Miss Nikki, we didn't get to hear your voice tonight. And Miss Cynthia, we did not get to hear your voice tonight, but we do thank you, Levita. We did not get to hear your voice tonight, but we do thank you for staying on and listening to what we had to say. We do thank you for participating. We're definitely asking you to come back next week, next Thursday. We may continue this topic going on because we're coming up on Abuse Awareness Month. And this is something that's going on in relationships and it's something that we probably need to continue to discuss. But Upscale Love for You, go to YouTube, all one word, Upscale Love, the number 4, the letter U. Go to YouTube, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you feel about the show. If there's a particular topic that you want to discuss, please reach out to us. Let us know through YouTube or through our email. That's upscalelove, the number 4, the letter U, @gmail.com. Upscalelove4you@gmail.com. Everyone on the panel, we thank you for your bravery. We thank you for your candidness coming out, talking about your particular stories or cases that you may know. I think the key word for tonight is emancipation. If you have gone through some kind of abuse, if you have been traumatized in some kind of way, shape, or form, and you're going through that journey, when you hit that level of emancipation, you're free from it all. That's the ultimate goal. So whatever has held you down throughout your life, emancipation. That's the word we should focus on getting through this process. If you've connected with someone through Upscale Love for You, make sure you continue to stay in touch with them. Make sure you share phone numbers. Make sure you get the chance to talk with each other and lean on each other, because that's what we're here for. On tomorrow night, Friday night, we have our guest, our host, Dr. Fabulous. She will be with Mr. Malik on ScoreBiggerDating.com. Score Bigger Dating is on Facebook Live at 8:30 p.m. We ask that you check them out. It's a very exciting show, ScoreBiggerDating.com. It's on Facebook Live, 8:30 tomorrow night with Dr. Fabulous and Mr. Malik. Also, there's one thing I'm missing. Miss Gina, could you give us the information about your service as well?
Sure. My service is Life Note, and that's LIFE Note, LLC. And basically, I have a legal service that I provide for anyone, any family, any person that needs legal assistance that does not have money for an attorney. I help you find ways of getting the necessary forms filed on your behalf, actually filling out the forms for you and submitting them for court for you. Also, I give you the necessary tools as well as for getting counseling for children, if children is involved, how to go about their safety as well as yours if you are getting abused. if you are seeking, if your child is abused and you're trying to get temporary custody, or if you have child support and you know they hit you right over the head and you don't understand why you're paying so much and you want to get it lowered, I do modifications of that and show you the actual calendar and the days of how to get equal time sharing. There is actually 6 ways to get equal time sharing, which is 50-50, where you can get your child support minimum down to $20, actual $20 every 2 weeks or $40 a month.
Okay.
So you can find me on Facebook at Life Note, LLC. Instagram, it is backwards. It's LLC, Life Note. You can actually www.lifenote.com. So you can find me there. Just send me an email or send me a message. My email is lifenotellc@gmail.com if you want to send me an email, and I do respond promptly. And it does not matter what time it is. If you want to think about it, if it's like I say, 4 o'clock, some people are hitting me up at 4, 3, 2 in the morning. It does not matter. I will respond back to you. So
okay. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Gina. And thank you for coming on. This is a first-time viewer for Miss Gina, and she definitely gave her 2 cents, and we do appreciate that. Now, with that being said, we wish that everyone have a great night. Oh, Miss Tracy.
Yes.
You still ain't a gangster. Okay, with that being said, everyone be safe, stay positive, and stay upscale for love. Y'all have a great night.
Good night.
bye-bye.
And tomorrow the question will be answered. Who pays for the date? See you tomorrow
What
night.
did he say?
What did he say?
Say it again, Doug.
I said tomorrow night the question will be answered. Who pays for the date?